Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 24 of the Foot Basket Podcast. I'm glad you are here today. I'm glad you tuned in this episode, that you watched last week's. If you did, if you are a new viewer, I welcome you. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. We're going to be going over part 2 of NBA to-do list. We'll be going over the Western Conference, just going over things that each team that's already been eliminated needs to do on their to-do list this offseason. Western Conference was a lot more difficult, but also pretty straightforward at the same time. You'll see as we get into it. I want to first start off by saying, if you have any quality issues, just hit that settings button in the top right and change it to 1080 pixels. That's what I'm filming at. I know YouTube sometimes automatically does 360. You could just change the quality just like that. If you aren't subscribed, or if you're not subscribed, just hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button, send a comment. I appreciate all the love, all the views, the likes that I get. I appreciate every single one of you. So I want to first give all the glory to God, allow me to do this podcast, allow me to grow. And I am so grateful for the people that still come in, and for the new people, for the people that come in every week. I am grateful for all of you guys, and I pray over all of you guys. Hoops has been crazy. NFL is going to be starting soon. Trades, free agency. So I can't wait to get back into NFL. But we are really NBA heavy right now. So all my NFL fans, I'm sorry, but soon, I'm telling you, soon we're gonna be on the NFL stuff, very very soon. But yeah, this episode again, like I said, we're gonna be going over the to-do list. Each team needs to be doing this offseason. I spent a lot of time on the Western Conference. Like I said, it was a little bit more difficult. I spent a lot more time on it, going through the free agency, going through the draft picks that they have, stuff like that. So there's some big things that are going on that you may not know. So I'm gonna just inform you. Let's go over the conference finals. So let's start with that. Let's start out East. The Knicks are up 3-0 against the Cavaliers. I thought, the Cavs have been a great home team throughout these playoffs and been a terrible away team. I remember the Raptors series. Every home team won. So every time that the Cavs played at home, they won. Every time they played away, they lost. So them going down 2-0 wasn't a big shock to me, only because, we've already seen this in the playoffs so far. I'm trying to remember who the Cavs played Detroit, and the same thing as well. They were a better home team than they were away. Besides, of course, at Game 7 when they were able to really get the win, but home they thrive. And in this game, at Game 3, they showed out in that Raptors series and Game 3, such a very important game, because if you go down 3-0, you basically lose the series. But for them to go down 3-0 at home did shock me, to be honest. I probably had the Cavs winning, like a 70% chance in my opinion. They showed that they were a great home team throughout the playoffs, even during the regular season as well. So I, even though the Knicks went up 2-0, I kind of expected it. But for the Knicks to go up 3-0, I was like, dang. I'm really looking at these West teams, and I'm like, this is really the NBA Finals to me. And that's how I've been kind of saying it. No shade or hate to the Knicks or the Cavs season and how they've played during these playoffs. I mean, the Knicks are winning, or one of the 10 teams to win 10 straight playoff games, which is not something you see often. And I have no hate over that. But the teams out west just look like they just look perfect. But for the Knicks to have a 10-game win streak and to potentially have 2 sweeps, definitely has to be talked about, because as I was looking at it, going into this NBA Finals, I really had the Western Conference team winning for sure. And I was thinking about last year as well, where the Western Conference Finals was OKC versus Nuggets. I went to a Game 7, and this series was amazing. So many different coaching adjustments, players going crazy. Jokic had a great series. Shea had a great series. And last year, in my opinion, at least what I was saying, I feel like what we were seeing as well was that this was the conference finals, because in the East we had Pacers versus Knicks, I believe. Yeah, Pacers versus Knicks, and although both those teams, it was a great series as well. Denver and OKC just looked like perfect teams that looked unbeatable. So I'm kind of getting a little bit of deja vu and having that feeling last year of like, this Western Conference Finals is really the NBA Finals. And then, last year we saw that the Pacers brought OKC to Game 7 and potentially an Achilles away from winning the finals against OKC, which I thought was an unbeatable team. I'm being smarter this year. I'm gonna learn from my mistakes. And I did have, this OKC and a Spurs series really being the finals, but I'm going to learn from my mistakes. And I'm going to say, I think the Knicks have a chance against whoever they go against this NBA finals. They have the momentum. I think they are playing great, great basketball. They're making a team like the Cavs, who just beat the Pistons, who just beat this Raptors team, um, look like a regular season, 10th seed team. Um, so I give a lot of shout out to the Knicks. A huge shout out to the Knicks. 10 straight also again is not easy, and they could potentially go 11 straight. I think once again in the finals that record is, or that streak is definitely gonna die down, because whoever they play, it is not gonna be a 4-game series. But dang, you know what I'm saying? Like, it makes me more excited for the NBA finals, because I was really excited for these, like, the Spurs and this OKC series. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't wait to watch it. And I'm like, bro, I'm kind of dreading that, like, after this is gonna die down. But I think this potential, OKC matchup versus Knicks, or Spurs versus Knicks series, I think it's gonna be better than anticipated, and especially for me, how it started before the series started versus now. I want to give a big shout out to Caruso, 32-point game, 15-point game, 17-point game, and another like 16. So this man Caruso is averaging like 20, 21, 22 in the playoffs right now. Jared McCain has had a couple big games. AJ Mitchell has been great during the playoffs in this series. He hasn't been as good as he has been. Big loss of J-Dub going down, but I think what's important for this OKC team is that they're their bench players and the amount of talent that they have on this roster, with the J Will, with the AJ Mitchell, with the Casey Wallace, the people that are coming off that bench, the Jared McCain, they're giving you valuable minutes, and they're giving you minutes that can really swing games, like that game 3 with Jared McCain. That was literally the momentum shifter and the swing for OKC to win that game. Again, this series is one of the that I've watched personally with my own eyes, not like not like that Bulls Jazz series. I promise you. I think I did watch one of the games. I think I watched the game 7. But I didn't watch anything like that. But this is one of the best series that I've seen with my own eyes. One of the best. Yo, shout out if you know about this. The Clippers Nuggets series last year, bro. Oh my goodness, that was top 3 for sure. But again, like I said, these role players like the Caruso and Jerry McCain, the AJ Mitchell, they have more of that explosiveness and that swing that they can bring to this series more than the Spurs have when it comes to their bench players or role players, stuff like that. We know Victor Wembanyama is going to go crazy. We know Dylan Harper has been hooping. Stephon Castle is going to play that defense, that hard defense. De'Aaron Fox is, a steady point guard that they need. But like a Keldon Johnson, can he swing a game like a Jared McCain? Like Harrison Barnes, can he swing a game like Jared McCain? How how am I forgetting the coach's name right now? Mark Daynott can bring Jared McCain, first game, or one game having 0 minutes, second game having 16, and him dropping a 15-point game and stuff like that. So it's really valuable when those players can really start like that. I've been enjoying both series. Again, Adam Silver got me messed up with 10 different freaking streaming services I need, but I figured it out, and I still get the scoop of everything that's going on, the highlights, what podcasters are saying, what's going on in social media, stuff like that. So I still get a scoop, but dang, Adam Silver, you really doing me wrong, bro. You really doing me wrong. Another announcement is that next week we may not have episode. Sorry, this is mid segment, but next week we may not have an episode. I will be moving into an apartment this week. So there, either we're gonna have an episode, but it's gonna be a whole different background, or there may not be an episode. So stay updated on Foot Basket Podcast on Instagram. Go follow that as well. But let's get into the main segment that we have today, which is gonna be the to-do list part 2 for the Western Conference. Again, like I said, for the third time, but this was difficult. This was not easy, just because I'm gonna say it now. The main thing as a GM for one of these teams in the Western Conference is, if you want to try to win, which Adam Silver just basically pushed that with this new lottery change. This past, he literally did it 2 months ago, 3 months ago, whatever. You basically can't lose. If you're top 3, top 2 worst team, you get like the lower lottery balls and like stuff like that. It's just, you have to be a winning team. And if you're gonna want to win as a Western Conference team, can you beat OKC and can you beat the Spurs? That's basically what it's gonna be next season and for like the next 3 years. Is if I'm as a GM, if I'm gonna buy into the season, if I'm gonna buy into this player that's on the market, the Giannis, the Ja, and I'm bringing them in, am I gonna be able to beat OKC? Am I gonna be able to beat the Spurs? And if you can't confidently say that I can hold a OKC hold Spurs to a 7 game series and potentially pull out of it, you're buying for no reason. And amen, 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 amen. Don't go into that second apron. Don't go into that tax problems, money problems to literally get bounced out the first round by OKC or San Antonio. Just don't do it as a GM. Of course, the GMs can't hear these videos, but like as GM, that's basically your main question going into every season for the next like 3-4 seasons, and even longer for the Spurs as well. I think OKC are we'll see how their money problem is when Chet's contract ends in 4 years or 3 years now. Shay's contract ends in 4 years, and J-Dub contract ends in 4 years. So how will they be able to extend all three of those guys? Are they going to extend all three of those guys because J-Dub is having them injury problems? We'll see what ends up happening 3-4 years from now. But Spurs, with how young their core is, hey, you have to watch out for this team for like 5 years as a Western Conference team. So we'll start out going from highest seed down. We're only doing the 3 seed to the 15 seed because OKC and San Antonio could just basically run it back. And I did the same thing last week with the Knicks and the Cavs. They're kind of in a situation they can run it back. Low key, I need to speak about the Cavs, but Cavs don't get swept, bro. Because y'all can't run it back if y'all get swept. I can't run it back if y'all get swept because y'all can't even get past the Knicks, and even if y'all get past the Knicks next year, you gotta beat OKC or San Antonio. Hey man, but I think skipping over the OKC and San Antonio is a smart decision because they could just run it back. They don't need much to do. But yeah, let's start with the Nuggets. They have a prime Jokic in his prime right now, MVP caliber player, top 3 All NBA first team guaranteed player, and he is in his prime, and he is 30, 31, 32 years old. You have, 2 more years, probably 3 more years of like prime Jokic, and then he's going to start to regress. I think as a GM, Nuggets is one of the only teams in my opinion in the whole Western Conference that can maybe, and this is a maybe, hold OKC or hold San Antonio to a 7-game series. And again, I know before I even say anything that the Nuggets could even be a injured Timberwolves team. This is what they need to do to be able to easily, pass a team like the Timberwolves, pass a team like the Rockets or the Lakers or any other team that's like buying into the season. They need to figure out that defensive identity. And I know that like throughout, not this past season, but every season before this, they're kind of a team that like, hey, we're a middle of the pack defense, 14th defensive rating 3 years ago, like 12th defensive rating 2 years ago, and like the last season they were like 11th or 12th defensive rating. These are if they were again to win a championship that wasn't their championship year, they would have I think they also had like the worst defensive rating as a NBA champion. And we saw with this past series, Minnesota Timberwolves series, that defensive rating is starting to hit y'all. I think y'all had, a 16th, 17th defensive rating this season. It's starting to catch up to y'all. So y'all have to figure out how y'all going to create a defensive identity with a guy like Jamal Murray, with a guy like Jokic on your team, who are both guys that don't play a lot of defense. And again, you also have to find out if you're going to pay Peyton Watson this offseason because he's going to be a free agent. And he's had a great season. Although he was injured, he had a great season. So he's definitely going to be wanting some money. But yeah, I mean, you can't waste these years that you have Jokic in his prime because again, I think Denver is also one of those spots that's you're not going to be hitting in free agency. You kind of just have to hit in drafts because you're not really a big market. You got to be able to buy into the now that you have with Jokic because you're one of the only teams that can't beat one of these teams. And then also like you have basically, you have your 2026 first round pick, you have your 2027 first round pick, you have your 2028, and I feel like 27, 28 are definitely two, or at least one of those need to be used in this offseason and the trade deadline. One of those have to be used because you're not really caring about who you're getting out of the draft in 27, 28 next season or the season after because these are the years that you need to buy on Jokic. That's been too long on the Nuggets, maybe because they're my favorite team, I don't know. But Moving on to the Lakers, gotta extend Braun this offseason. That's basically number one on your priority list. Gotta extend Braun probably to a 1 year. This is probably Braun's last year, this upcoming season. But you extend Braun, because he's gonna be a free agent this season, but he'll stay in LA. Just extend him. Are you gonna pay Austin Reeves? That's another guy you have to look at in free agency. But again, also looking at this upcoming season, you have a guy like Luka, who is again a top All NBA first team guaranteed player, a top 5 player in the world right now. Do you believe that if you are able to bring back Braun, if you're able to bring back Reeves, can you build this team enough to beat OKC or Spurs in a 7-game series? And like you're gonna be hearing this a lot coming out of my mouth, because that's all it about goes down to. Because if you don't feel like bringing in Reeves and bringing in Braun and trying to trade away some of those draft picks and try to bring in a better center, which is on their to-do list, they definitely need to get a better center this offseason. Again, a guy like Daniel Gafford should be on the market. Do you believe that you're going to be one of those teams? And if not, there's no point of even bringing Reeves to that contract that Reeves is going to want. You feel me? Because Reeves is going to want to get paid. I forget what he's eligible for. I know we just got the news of what Jalen Duren's eligible for after hitting All NBA third team. I forget what Austin Reeves is eligible for, but he definitely is going to want some money. So are you going to pay Reeves and be an expensive team because you're gonna have Luka? At least for this next season, you're gonna have Luka. Paying Luka, you're gonna be paying Braun. You're gonna be paying Reeves. Rui's on a better contract. I'm trying to think. I can't remember what contract. Marcus Smart might be a free agent this year, but you don't want to get into money problems. And as a team that you're not even trying to win, you feel me? After Braun retires, you don't want to be in any money problems. So that's the biggest thing. Is just, are you bringing back Reeves? Do y'all believe that if y'all bring back Reeves, y'all can, build a team good enough to be OKC or San Antonio? For the Rockets, I think this is the best decision in my opinion. Again, I am a 20-year-old who don't got the wisdom that some of these guys do in that general manager office. I think selling KD is the move. I think after watching this Lakers series this past playoffs, and with the young core that you guys got with the Reed Shepherd, the Alperen Sengun, the Jabari Smith, the Amen Thompson, you guys have such a good young core, and you guys have the players for the now, like the Fred VanVleet, the KD. I think now isn't the time to try to win, to try to throw all your first round picks into this guy and try to win, or throw this young player, trade a Amen Thompson, trade a Alperen Sengun, try to go get a Giannis and try to win. Can y'all beat OKC or San Antonio? And with the pieces that they got, I don't think they can. They can't even get past the Lakers. I think selling KD now with the little bit of value that he still has, again, he's going to continue to regress in value every season from now. So I think trading KD, especially after also the KD problems that you had with the texting and the social media. What was it? The Twitter. What is the word? The Twitter account. Whatever you got going on with KD. I think this is the right time to sell KD, and you have still a great young core that you don't even have to lose games. I think a core of a Reed Shepherd, a Fred VanVleet, a Amen Thompson, the Jabari Smith, the Tari Easons, the Alperen Sengun. I think that team is still competent to be a 6 seed, to get that playoff experience, to continue to grow that playoff experience. And so these young guys are now better players, and now you can bring in the Giannis's or whoever's available at the time. And then that's when you feel like OKC is starting to die down, San Antonio is starting to die down, and get into money problems, because that's what's gonna hold OKC and San Antonio back, is when they start to get into these money problems with the rookie contracts. So right now, Dylan Harper's on that rookie contract, Stephon Castle's on that rookie contract, Victor Wembanyama may be on that rookie contract still, but once they start having to pay these guys, somebody got to get the short end of the stick. You feel me? So I think this offseason, selling KD, trading him somewhere else is the way to go. Shout out Minnesota. Nah, Minnesota needs a point guard first. But again, y'all have such a good young core that selling KD is no problem in my opinion. And whatever y'all get from KD, again, the Rockets have so many draft picks as well. So they have that Nets pick, which is gonna be really juicy next year. I don't think the Nets can really get anything. So just continue to draft, continue to grow that young core, and then whenever the time is right, bye. because y'all I can't get past the Lakers. Timberwolves. One of them and the Nuggets were I think the only teams. Let me go through these teams real quick. I think the Timberwolves, the Nuggets, and the Jazz. Yeah, Timberwolves, Nuggets, Jazz. I think are the only teams that can compete with OKC and San Antonio. Going over to Timberwolves, they brought San Antonio to 6, and they weren't even fully healthy. Anthony Edwards had that knee problem. Dante DiVincenzo was out for the whole series, and he is an important player on your team. You guys have that dog mentality, identity, which is perfect against a team like the two juggernaut teams that you're going to be going against, because you could be able to match that dog mentality that they kind of have as well. So it isn't. I think number one to do is get that point guard play that you guys need. Selling Julius Randle, I think it's almost a guarantee. That there was so many press conferences and post game interviews and stuff like that of players hinting at like Julius Randle's cooked and he's out of here. So figuring out what value you can get from Julius Randle, who is like 32 years old, got a year or two left on his contract, which his contract is not small either. Boy, getting paid like $33 million a year, $35 million a year, whatever it is. So trying to get rid of that contract is also going to be difficult. After seeing what he just did in the playoffs was not too good. You feel me? But and then also figuring out, because I've also seen the rumors of Rudy being one of those guys as well that are in that post-game interview talks of being gone this season as well. And as Rudy, as a GM, do you feel like Rudy is a guy that can be on a championship level team? Like, is Rudy a guy to be able to beat this OKC or San Antonio team? Getting off that Rudy contract, I think, is even harder than getting off that Julius Randle contract. And you traded so many first-round picks for him. But which is one of the crazier trades in NBA history for sure. But is it time to move off Rudy? Is it time to move off Julius? It's definitely time to move off Julius Randle. But finding out, is it time to move off Rudy and upgrade that center spot to more, of course, a good defensive big, but having a more offensive versatility with that big, because your defensive identity with the Jaden McDaniels, the Anthony Edwards, it don't matter. Hopefully you bring in a point guard that ain't trying to ruin that identity. The Nas Reed, like, you have these guys that are just dogs defensively, that like bring in a center that's like a Daniel Gafford or I don't know what center is really on the market right now. I know Daniel Gafford's on the market, but bringing a guy, let's just say like a guy like Daniel Gafford, who like is he's a good rim protector. He has a really big lob threat when it comes to fast breaks and stuff like that. I don't think that's really gonna hurt that defensive identity that you guys have. You feel me? So I think that's definitely the move for you guys. Minnesota Suns. Yo, first of all, there's this one. I was looking at the draft picks. There's this one draft pick that the Phoenix has, bro. I promise you, I've never seen this as a podcaster, as a fan of the NBA or anything like that, bro. I'm telling you, it had a protection that was a paragraph long. It was probably, I don't even know how many words, probably like 70 words, 75 words long, maybe like 100 words long, bro. There was too much. I was not even reading it. But next year they're looking at having 3 potential first round picks. That's including that paragraph long first round pick. So I think like this is a season that you guys sell. You guys had a great season. You guys were expected to be not even be in the playoffs, but you guys had a great season, made the playoffs. They didn't really make anything shake in the playoffs because I want to get OKC first round. But I don't think there's any way that you guys bring in somebody and you guys are now a competent team to beat OKC or San Antonio. You have Mark Williams, you have Ryan Dunn, you have some young pieces. Jalen Green, if you want to count as a young piece, he's like 24, 25. You guys have some tradable pieces that some teams would really like. A guy like Devin Booker, a guy like Dylan Brooks is definitely a tradable piece. 3 first-round picks next year. Or y'all could even do like a mini rebuild where y'all keep a guy like D-Book. Maybe use some of those first-round picks next year, trade some of them away, see what you get from Dylan Brooks. Maybe do like a mini rebuild and try to be competent again 2-3 years from now. But I think Phoenix, I don't think this is another season where you just exceed expectations and make the playoffs, but just get not kicked out the first round. Y'all have 3 first-round picks next year. Again, I even though y'all's wins doesn't matter to 2 of them, y'all's win does matter to 1 of them, and I think this is the season to sell. You know what I'm saying? Just a little bit. Maybe even if it's just a guy of like Dylan Brooks or just a guy like Mark Williams, and you're bringing in Maui Watch to be the starting center, I think that's perfectly fine. Because I'll just keep D-Book. D-Book is maybe just a Phoenix forever type of guy. So shout out Phoenix though. Y'all had a great season. Trailblazers. In my opinion, you guys had it. I think Shaedon Sharpe and Scoot Henderson both had great seasons. Showed great. They had signs of flashes in the playoffs, and although y'all had a game where like Wemby got a concussion, so y'all took that game. I can't remember. Did that game go to 6? Yo, I wasn't even locked into that game because I knew that series because I knew San Antonio was gonna win. And y'all had some moments in that series with a young core with no Damian Lillard. Had some injury problems. Then he looks like a great player, and it just makes me kind of want to change what I kind of have for you guys. I kind of had you guys selling now because there's teams that hold on to players like a Bulls. The Bulls are terrible at this, holding on to players that just had a great season, like a Scoot Henderson, like a Shaedon Sharpe, and holding on to them. And as long as the longer they hold on to them, the worse their value goes. And I was looking at a guy like Scoot, looking at a guy like Shaedon, to have such. I think they're one of their higher values in their career is going to be right now, and you get the most out of them right now. Is there a way that you guys potentially trade these guys away? But I'm kind of looking at how they played this series, and even though both, and I think they had 2 wins, both wins were wins without Wemby. You guys had a great play-in game. Dame Doll is coming back next season. Should y'all just be one of those competent teams that are just fun, bro? Y'all just there for the vibe, like a team like the Hornets, bro. Because I don't in my opinion, I don't think there's any way the Hornets can go to the championship and win the NBA Finals next season. But boy, I can't wait to watch the Hornets game next season. And I think I might feel the same way for the Trailblazers. I think maybe I'll just run it back with what y'all got. Let y'all scoot. Y'all could go that route of trading away the Scoot Henderson, the Shaedon Sharpe while the value is high. Really thinking about that playoff series and how they played in the play and stuff like that. I kind of want to see that running back with Dame Dollar this time, having that vet point guard play, and not just allowing Denny to just drive every play and try to kick out or get the foul or whatever. You know what I'm saying? What Denny be doing. But that's what I have for Portland. For the Clippers, y'all really lucked out with this pick that y'all have this year, and I think this is your sign. I think maybe this is y'all kind of already knew this when y'all put the protection on this pick, that if y'all get this high of a pick, it is your sign to sell. And I think this is the best opportunity to, which like the 5th overall pick again in this year's draft class is really stacked. 5th overall pick, I think at that spot the best player available is gonna be Darius Acuff. Do y'all take a guy like Darius Acuff at 5 when you already have DGDPG? Because if you don't get Darius Acuff, can anybody that you see out of this draft, although this draft class is very strong, be a cornerstone rebuilding, piece? Like you don't have, I don't think any of these guys like a Cooper. Okay, sorry, I'm back. But with the, can you guys bring in a cornerstone piece to that team? I don't think there's anybody at pick 5 besides maybe like a guy like Darius Acuff that'll be really a cornerstone piece to a team. So I still think that, in my opinion, what I have written down is selling away Kawhi. You guys have Benedict Mathurin. You guys have Darius Garland. You have that 5th overall pick. You guys have like the the role players, the tools, kind of like the high expectations, high ceiling players. In Atlanta, you're just gonna need to find that superstar to get to that team back again, because I think having a guy like Kawhi just there right now, declining his value again, isn't good, because even if y'all make the playoffs, which I think this season won't be really a playoff season for LA, can y'all even again beat OKC, or can y'all beat San Antonio? Can y'all even beat Minnesota? You know what I'm saying? So I think that'd be the right choice. Going over the Warriors, bro, I don't hate it. The Warriors extend Steve Curry for 2 more years. You guys have Steph Curry, again in his prime for this season, probably maybe one more year, and then it's pretty chopped. Um, so you guys have shown us, and you guys basically have told us that you guys are buying this season. So to not even try to say any sell route, let's just say that they're basically buying. Are you guys gonna bring back a Porzingis? Because you guys are, Draymond Green is probably taking his player option, this free agency period. Al Horford has a player option, so Al Horford is probably gonna take that. So you have two old power forwards that are coming back. Are you bringing back a guy like Porzingis, who doesn't like playing that starting five position? Isn't really a starting five type of player. He's kind of just a stretch four. Or you bring back Porzingis. What can you do tool wise to really buy into this season? What can y'all bring in, star wise, star level wise, to make this team really good again? You guys had some injury stuff this playoff series and before the playoffs even started, but Jimmy out, and he'll probably be out most of the season, if not the whole season this upcoming season, and Moses Moody is probably going to be out for a long period of time. You guys are told us that you're going to buy, so what are y'all going to bring in to make this be a competent roster to, stay up with OKC, stay up with San Antonio, stay up with these, good Western Conference teams? Let me see if I got anything else for them. But yeah, you guys do have, two tradable first round picks that you guys could use, but which would be not this upcoming draft and the draft. It's gonna be the draft after that, because you guys are telling us that you're basically buying for 2 more years with the extension of Steve Kerr for 2 more years. Excuse me, but you guys gotta figure out what's that missing star piece. Pelicans, I think the Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, Zion, that kind of era is kind of dying. And in my opinion, like 3 years ago, 3-4 years ago, I think this team had so much potential with the CJ McCollum, Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, Zion. I think Valanciunas was the starting center. There was so much potential because all 5 of those players are good NBA players. They're, Zion's a great NBA player. I don't know if I'm missing anybody. Trey Murphy was starting to become a great 3-point shooter. Herb Jones, a great defender on the perimeter. CJ McCollum, CJ McCollum. There's no way CJ McCollum's a point guard because he hasn't even been there that long. I'm trying to remember who the point guard was, but I think the era is kind of dying, and you could bring in this Jeremiah Fears, their Queen era, and sell guys like Zion, where Zion's value is probably at the highest it will be after he had just had a great season, even though his injury history is pretty bad. Just trading, Trey Murphy. There's a lot of teams that would love Trey Murphy. A lot of teams would love Herb Jones on their team. I think selling those guys is a right move. Moving over to the Mavericks, in my opinion, I think selling is priority. Selling, trying to figure out what you can get from Kyrie, and to just tool this whole team around Cooper Flag and figure out what does Cooper Flag need. He needs point guard. Let's go get a point guard as soon as possible, so he can get used to having a good point guard on his team. I don't think having a guy like Kyrie this season to, again, teach Cooper Flag to have a good point guard on his team, just for Kyrie to leave a year or two from now, is really good for him. I think their priority should get that point guard that's really good, that's going to stay on his team for a while, whether he becomes a backup after getting a starter point guard or he's your starting point guard for when you want to buy in. Getting the value of a guy like, Gafford. I think Derek Lively is going to stay on his team with his youth. I think, it's a great youthful player that you can keep on your team. Getting the value of Daniel Gafford, in my opinion, I think is the right move. And stuff like that. So I think that's what I have for the Mavericks. For the Grizzlies, if y'all don't trade y'all selling, bro. That's all it is. I think they Grizzlies did perfect on the timing of tearing this team apart. The John Morant, the Bane, the Jaren Jackson Jr. era. They didn't hold on to the pieces. Maybe John Morant just a little bit, but that's John Morant's fault. They traded Desmond Bane, perfect timing. Got so many first-round picks for him. They traded Jaren Jackson Jr., perfect timing after he had a great season. John Morant, of course, is having a little bit of problems. But trading John Morant this season, you're going to get something out of him. I think, in my opinion, you at least get something out of him. You're having these, you have a top 2 overall pick, which you can, create as the cornerstone who you're going to build around and hopefully be your star player. You have Cedric Howard. You have Scottie Pippen Jr., you have these players that are going to be coming to this team that you're going to get from that John Morant trade. Hopefully, you can get some useful players. Because I don't think most teams are going to be trading too many first-round draft picks for John Morant. But getting John Morant out the team is a priority. Kings, dang, bro. Dang, Sacramento, bro. Sacramento. I feel bad, bro. Y'all are just genuinely cooked. Y'all have 3 of the worst contracts in the league right now. The DeMar contract, the Zach LaVine contract, and that Sabonis contract. All terrible contracts. Terrible. Zach LaVine's getting old. DeMar DeRozan is going to retire soon. Sabonis is also very old, and he's had injury history. All these players are basically on like supermax right now, like getting paid the same as Jaylen Brown, Shea getting paid the same as, Jokic and Curry, and this is Zach LaVine, the DeMar DeRozan we're talking about. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how y'all gonna do it. I don't know. Y'all might just have to get 2 second-round picks for DeMar DeRozan and call it a day, bro. To at least get off the money. Okay, even if y'all wanted to build around if y'all get a top pick next year, you don't even have the free agency money. Y'all have like a mid-level exception to just build around your player, but that's it. Y'all can't bring in multiple people and start to get those role players mixed in with that, that star player that you can hopefully get next year. Hopefully y'all get some lottery next year, but y'all goal is to figure out how y'all gonna get off these contracts, because they're just 3 of the worst in the league. And lastly, the Utah Jazz. I think it's gonna be one of my favorite teams next year. Big team. Darian Peterson's probably gonna be their second overall pick. So we're looking at Keontae George, Darian Peterson, or Ace Bailey, whoever they decide to start. Lauri Markkanen, Jaren Jackson Jr., Walker Kessler. If that's a priority, is bringing back Walker Kessler, and how much money you're gonna bring him back for. I don't think he's eligible for that much. I think he might have had a all defensive second team 2 years ago, or maybe like a vote or something like that. But figuring out, is Walker Kessler a situation where it's a sign and trade? Do you bring in a guy like Walker Kessler but end up trading him right after you sign him to upgrade that center spot? In my opinion, that's the worst potential spot on your lineup. I think you're not going to trade away a guy like Ace Bailey or Darian Peterson. These are young core guys that have so much ceiling, but a guy like Walker Kessler, how much ceiling does he have left? You feel me? So is a Walker Kessler also a guy that you could do a sign and trade where you use some of those draft picks and really buy into the season and try to beat one of these OKC and Spurs team? In my opinion, I think that would be the best decision, because I think this team is really good to hold one of these teams. I think they're going to lose every time, but if you upgrade that center spot with such a tall lineup already, offensive rebounds gonna look crazy, bro. Hey, there's so much potential for this Jazz team. I think they did so good this past season. Was, I think, it was an amazing. Even though they got fined like $400,000, I think it was worth it, bro. Hey, let Adam Silver give you punishment, bro. It was worth it, bro. At $400K, bro. I know one of my boys will donate y'all something. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's what I have on my to-do list. I can't wait to continue to watch hoops this week. Adam Silver, please put it on one platform, like 2 platforms, 2 streaming services next year, please, bro. I'm begging, bro. I'm begging out here, bro. Again, I don't know if I'm gonna be having an episode next week. Just stay updated on Foot Basketball Podcast on Instagram. But I'm glad that you watched all the way to the end of this video. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I'll see y'all either next week or the week after. Y'all finna have a new setup though. Probably. I might come back. I don't know. We'll see what ends up happening. But yeah, you guys have a blessed week. Have a great week. I'll see y'all. Peace.